Hello. This is Ashley, and I'm doing another experiment. So I have a friend who recently had a baby, and she donated a sample of breast milk. And I recently did an experiment using breast milk on these lovely little test strips that we have here. So what I wanted to do is I actually wanted to conduct an experiment using cold breast milk versus warm breast milk. So I've had this sample here sitting out for quite a while, and I just poured this sample right here. And I wanted to see if there would be a difference on these home pregnancy tests and if either one of these would possibly yield a false line of some sort. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and explain how this works for those of you who are new to using test strips. You generally can get these quite inexpensively on Amazon or eBay, and you can get them in bundles for pennies on the dollar. These test strips are actually inside of midstream tests, which are very popular, or even cassette tests, which are also very popular. Cassette tests are a bit less expensive than the midstream tests. Midstream tests can be, a little more expensive. You can get, depending on the brand and depending on whether it's like a well-known name brand versus like a store brand, anywhere from say 10 to 20 bucks for 2 to 3 tests inside of a pack. These, on the other hand, I generally can get these in a combo pack with OPKs, ovulation predictor kits, or ovulation tests. And usually anywhere from, depending on how big the bundle is, I can get like 60 OPKs, 30 home pregnancy tests for around, anywhere from 12 to 15 bucks on Amazon, and even less on eBay sometimes. So they're very fairly inexpensive. And for those of you who are actively peeing on a stick or collecting a sample in a cup, these are quite efficient, very inexpensive, and makes it very doable. So I highly recommend it. And again, these come inside of the fancy packaging, as I like to call it. And the way it works is it's very simple. It works the same way as any other pregnancy test. You're going to get a control line, which is going to indicate that the test is working properly, which is activated by any liquid, even water, or say breast milk sometimes, depending on whether or not, it travels up, as long as it travels up the entire test strip. But the control line is going to indicate that the test is working properly. Now, if you get a second line, that usually indicates that there is a presence of HCG. Now, normally we're using a urine sample. So if you're doing that, and you get a second line and it's within the allotted time frame, it's safe to say that more than likely you're pregnant. Now, depending on how early you're actually testing, which I sometimes don't recommend testing too early, but if you are so many weeks late on your period, more than likely, I'd recommend getting blood results and ultrasounds and all that good stuff, making an appointment with your doctor, just simply because there is always the concern of having a chemical pregnancy. And what a chemical pregnancy is, basically the egg fertilizes and it implants. And once implantation occurs, you start to produce the pregnancy hormone, which is HCG, and it produces enough to yield a positive result on, say, a highly sensitive test. Most opt to use first response. That can detect, as little as 6.5 MIU, even though it's technically a 25 MIU test. And there's other tests, test strips even that are like 10 MIU, highly sensitive, that can detect a pregnancy hormone very early on, around, 8 to 10 DPO. And so on and so forth. The closer you are to your expected period, the more accurate the test is going to be. But the only bad thing about doing that is sometimes, for whatever reason, the pregnancy, the egg I don't know how to explain this in a way that doesn't sound insensitive. A chemical pregnancy is essentially an early miscarriage. So you may test positive for a few days, and then you start to get negative tests, and then all of a sudden, boom, around the time of your expected period, you start to bleed. A lot of people interpret that as, period, especially if you haven't tested. So you would assume it was a period, but it's an early miscarriage. So I usually opt to test. Well, not me per se, but I recommend testing around the time your period would be due, or even if you're late. Maybe waiting a week, and if you're late, then testing. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do this experiment using the breast milk, and I want to see if a line's going to appear. So this is the cold sample, and this is the warm sample, and I have this marked on here using breast milk. And so let's go ahead and get started. I usually like to dip it for about 5 to 10 seconds. But especially using breast milk because the fatty acids. With my last experiment, the dye actually didn't run all the way through, and I didn't get a control line, so I thought I would redo the experiment. I'm going to hold it in there a bit longer, just so the test can be a little more saturated, just because of the fatty acids and the fact that it takes a little bit longer for the liquid to run through. So I'm going to start with the warm liquid. Real quick. Okay. And again, I held this a little bit longer than I would a normal pregnancy test if I was holding it in urine. I actually held it for about 20 seconds. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing, and this is the cold sample. So I'm going to do that in here. Okay. And the only reason why I'm doing it this way, other than for obvious reasons, for those of you who are going to comment on this video, it's not urine. So there should be no HCG present, because guess what? It's not urine. So that's not a factor. Secondly, oversaturating the test by a few seconds or even by a few extra drops, which I did this with a cassette test not too long ago, it's not going to impact the test. The results will be the results regardless. The only way it's going to impact the test is if there's an undersaturation. So I wanted to make sure there was a full saturation, which is why I oversaturated the test by 20 seconds. And as you can see, the dye is running through completely. So I want to see if there is a control line appearing on both tests. And that's the main thing. So while we're actually waiting on that, I also want to go over the new forums that we have created on peeonaststickfreak.com, because I'm really excited about that. Now, I did make a video recently about the forums, but we've actually added 2 different forums, and I felt they were really important, and I really wanted to go over them because it actually touches a place in my heart, because I have known some people that have gone through these issues, and this is actually what's going to make our forums a little bit different from others. I know that there are other community forums out there, such as Fertility Friend and Baby Center and all that good stuff, but this is what makes ours a bit different. We created a forum for those who have chosen adoption and those who have chosen to give their baby up for adoption. Now, the reason why this is so important to me is because this is a very selfless act, and it's a very painful thing to go through, and it's very hard to talk about. It's very hard to discuss. So for those of you who actually considered it, for those of you who are going through it, and it happens. Sometimes you get pregnant and things don't work out the way you'd like it to. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily a single mom. Sometimes you just financially cannot afford it. Sometimes you are a single parent. There are so many different factors that go into it. And, it's like, I definitely do not advocate abortion. Abortion is not an option, in my opinion. We definitely advocate adoption because there's so many people that are going through infertility and those that cannot naturally get pregnant and have a baby, and sometimes adoption is their only option. And I know for myself, I have two babies. One that is at this moment 3.5, and one that's almost 5. But I went through about 10 years of infertility, and it's a very painful thing to go through, and especially if it's unexplained. And for some, they know what's going on. I mean, there are people that have autoimmune disorders, and it's like their bodies attack a fetus as if it's a disease, and they continuously have miscarriages. So it's almost like no matter what they do, adoption in the end is about the only option that they have. There's so many people that would love to love your baby. So this is a place where you can post, say if you've gotten pregnant and you feel that giving your baby up for adoption is the only option. You have questions, you have concerns. Maybe you just want to talk about it. You just want to vent about it. This is a safe place where you can go to do that without fear of judgment, because I'm very strict on this. For those that do throw in their, bashing or judgment, name calling, anything like that, they're going to be removed from the website. So I felt that this was really important. It just touches a really big place in my heart. And I know people personally who have gone through this, who are going through this on both ends. And I just wanted to put that out there, that we have this thread on our community forums. We just recently launched them, so I recommend and highly am hopeful that many of you will. We have almost 900 members as of this point, and I'm very excited about this. So please join and become active, and especially those of you who are afraid to post, don't be afraid. This is a safe place to come where you can, talk with other members, and, the more members that are involved, the better. So definitely refer and ask and all that good stuff. Just have people that come and join, because we'd love to have them. And this is a place where you can do this without, being judged and, all that good stuff. So, and also there's one other place on here. Okay, so this is also another thing that people don't necessarily think about. But for those of you, and I've been in that position where maybe you were trying, and then maybe you stopped trying, and then maybe, oops, it happened, and maybe you're scared, maybe you feel like you're not financially ready yet. There's all kinds of factors that go into it. This is a place where if that happens, you can post, you can ask questions, you can post your fears, you can post your joys. Maybe you have more than one. Maybe you were not expecting to expand your family just yet. I mean, I know it happens. Like, you could be breastfeeding and, not knowing that you actually ovulated, not knowing that you haven't had a period. It's just one of those things. And this is a place where you can post, and it's a safe place to post. And again, the same rules apply. There's no judgment. I mean, people are going to have their judgments, but there's absolutely no bashing allowed. So if that happens, whoever is doing it, we have moderators and stuff on the website. So they're going to remove those members immediately. And this is a safe place where you can go. Again, it touches my heart. This is very important because there are so many people that go through this. And that's, again, what makes it different from most other forums, because we have this thread. because it happens. It's life. It's realistic. And I know there are people that are in the trying to conceive community and those who are going through infertility. And I know that maybe they may not understand the pain that's associated behind it, but for those that even have gone through infertility, this can happen. And maybe it's at a time when you weren't trying. And, you know, it's just imperative that you have a place that you can go and you can feel safe. So I just wanted to post that out there. I mean, there's all kinds of threads that we have. It's parenting, you know, pregnancy, where you can post your pregnancy. If you have children, you can post, you know, things about your kids and questions and all that good stuff. And then, of course, those questions for our moderators or admins, you can post inside there. We have a secret sister group, Secret Sock Buddy, kind of like being a pen pal, except you would, instead of sending a pen pal letter, you would send like a care package that's tailored around that person's interests, because we'll pair you up with somebody with the same interests. And, you know, you send them little trinkets and their favorite snacks and, you know, a pair of socks, because when you go through an exam, usually the only thing you can wear is a pair of socks. So it just kind of lets you know that they're thinking about you. It's just a care package. And it's really neat. Test tweaking. So for those of you who like to tweak tests, this is a thread for you. You can also post your tests inside of here for second opinions. And those that are trying to conceive their first, second, third, fourth, fifth, you know, there's threads for that. Those that are in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, there's threads for that. And then also we have Desiree Turner, which is our psychic, our official psychic for pianostickfreak.com. And she's really amazing. She gives very detailed readings. She has paid readings as well as she runs contests. We also have contests for the first 100 members that choose to sign up. You would just go through our contest thread on here and go through the criteria. You have to be active. You have to post daily and comment on others' posts, you know, other members, and give advice. And you have to sign up and, you know, put your name and what number you are and all that good stuff. So you do that right here in the contest thread. So I highly recommend, you know, we have about 900 members, so I really highly recommend definitely sign up and become active, post, and also refer. The more you do that, the better chance that you have to win a prize. You can win pregnancy tests, ovulation tests, follicle stimulating hormone tests, which, you know, for short FSH, and also free trying to conceive psychic readings from our very own Desiree Turner. We have a Facebook group. It's called pianostickfreaks.com, and we have members that are active in both on the community forums as well as inside the group. So it's really neat. Also, you know, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/pianostickfreak. Follow us on Twitter, pianostickfrk, and also Instagram, pianostickfreak. And then, of course, you know, our website, pianostickfreak.com, which is where we have our community forum. So all you have to do is just sign up, and then you scroll down. You'll see our forums. You click on it, and you can post. It's very simple. Okay, now getting back to our breast milk test, which I'm really excited about. So far, our warm test has not yielded a line. Let me look at the cold test. The cold test has actually not yielded a line. I'm actually going to turn this light on here real quick, just so we can get a better look. I'll definitely do a follow-up video with this. It actually almost looks like the cold one is starting to form somewhat of a line. So I'll definitely do a follow-up with this. So again, this is Ashley signing off. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to our channel.